Hello, 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 hello. How are you today? My name is Praise Forward. Welcome to PFthinks episode 120. For thereabout. And this is from Praise for International Studio, Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you who are joining from all over the world, I want to say thank you, irrespective of your time zone and time difference. Those of you in Africa, especially West about 3:16 West African time. For those of you in Nigeria and for those of you in Canada, in North America, thank you so much for joining. And those who join from Asia every day. Well, I'm super excited to have come your way again today. And I want to say thank you so much for keeping faith with this show. I know it's never easy. Well, today I continue our discussion on releasing your personal power. And today we focus on the magic of imagination. Image I nation. That is the nation that I can, whose image I can create. Right. That the reality about your life, is governed by the power of your imagination. Things are created twice, first within, then without. The amazing thing about your life is that your mind does not know the difference between what is simulated and what is real. And that is why sometimes you are watching a movie and in your mind, you realize that the actor died in the movie. You knew that the actor did not die in real life because he's still going to act another cry. Why do you cry when you know the actor is alive, but he died in the movie? It was because your mind did not know the difference between what was real and what is simulated. And that's the same way your imagination works. That your imagination is a combination of image, I, and nation. That is the nation that you whose image you can create, right? That you always create your reality by the dominant image in your mind. There is nothing that was ever made or that was ever created that was not, first of all, imagined. And that's why the people who can imagine things are the ones who own the world. I started this particular session with a quote by George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw is a philosopher, and it says that imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last you create what you will. I'll take that again. George Bernard Shaw said, imagination is the beginning of creation. You desire, you will what you imagine, and at last you create what you will. That creation starts with imagination. That sometimes you are sitting alone or you are alone and there's a picture in your mind. That consistently, the picture that you entertain in your mind will determine your reality. So far, we have looked at the power of your belief, we have looked at the power of your thoughts, and today we're looking at the power, the magic of your imagination. So, what image do you want to create within you, or what image are you creating within you? As the things in his heart, so he is. Now, it's been said that there is no way you can travel within and stand still without. That a lot of people are consistently stuck because they can't imagine. I read the story of a particular guy who plays chess, right? And you see, he plays chess, right? But there's another guy who was a global world chess champion. Who I mean, the guy was number one. So this other guy was in prison. Now, while he was in prison, he began to imagine that he actually played with the number one in the world, and he defeated him. So every day he will spend 2 hours thinking about it, playing the game in his mind, playing chess with the world champion in his mind. He will think through it, and play it in his mind every day that he was in that prison for about 6 years. At the end of 6 years, he left the prison and he went back to his home country. Now, the world number one came to his country. I think was it India or something. I can't remember the country clearly right now. And there was an exhibition game that was created. So they selected 10 people who will play against him. And the guy only lost one game all through that tour, and he lost that game to this particular guy. So when they asked the guy, how were you able to defeat the world champion? And she said to them that for 6 years, every day that he had defeated this guy consistently, and exactly that's the same format that Muhammad Ali, follows. Muhammad Ali will say, I sting like butterfly. I float like butterfly and I sting like a bee. He says, your hand cannot touch what your eyes do not see. So Muhammad Ali would say that before he steps into the ring, and that's why it's been said the champions don't become champions in the ring. Champions are only recognized in the ring. Muhammad Ali says that he spent about, he defeats his opponent 5,000 times in his mind before stepping into the ring, right? That he will visualize and imagine how the fight will go. And consistently, he knew that the guy would drop by 6th round or 5th round. Then he would come out and tell the guy, you are going to drop. Now, that a lot of people don't know that miracles do not happen unless there's alignment between your words and action. That a miracle is perfect once what you are seeing is what you are thinking, is what you are saying, and is what you are doing. That consistently, if you can align those, then a miracle will happen. That consistently, people want to go for mating, they do not know that you can imagine the mating before you go for that mating. It's something I do consistently. Every time I feel very weak in my body, what I do when I have a presentation is I imagine the end of the presentation. I imagine myself coming back home to the beautiful hands of my wife, hugging her, kissing her. I imagine this consistently, and guess what? By the time I go for the session, no matter how tired I am, I always hit a home run. That the power that you have been given to become whatever you want to become is the power of your imagination. That a lot of you want God to do something great, but you do not know the role your imagination has to play in this. God says, in the scriptures, it says that God is able. It says God is able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above you could ever ask. That's one. Above you could imagine. That there's the place for asking. What are you asking for? But there's a place of imagining it. That is faith. That when you imagine that you have received what you are asking for, then it's only a matter of time because ownership has been transferred. Where it has not even manifested physically, there's a way you can imagine that you have it, that it's a foregone conclusion because the laws of attraction kicks in and it magnetizes it into your life. Have you ever done this exercise before? You want to buy a particular car, right? And you say, "Oh, I want to buy a red Ford Explorer," kind of, right? And in your mind, you see yourself driving the Ford Explorer red. Now, have you not noticed that the moment you step outside of your house, almost every car you begin to the red Ford Explorer? What has happened? You have activated the laws of attraction within you, and it has a way of magnetizes it into your life. That a lot of us waste our imagination on hurt and pain. We waste our imagination on the people that hurt us, how we're going to eat back. You waste your imagination on things that are irrelevant, on pornography, on things that cannot birth the future you want. Meanwhile, you can imagine yourself into wealth. You can imagine yourself into life. You can imagine yourself into health. Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you Google him, is one of my teachers. Dr. Joe Dispenza was, had a terrible accident, a spinal cord injury, actually. And doctors told him he will never be able to walk again. As a matter of fact, they gave him the chances of surviving to 30-70, that he had 30% of surviving, right? 70% of dying if they go for operation. Now, instead of going for the operation, he told them that since they had 30% chances of living, they should leave him alone in a room. So they left him in a room. They were only giving him food. So every time he said to himself, well, let him begin to imagine himself heal and whole. So every day he said he tried to imagine himself and focus on his healing inside his mind. And he said that was when he discovered that to actually sustain your focus for 3 hours, for 3 minutes was a lot of work. So he started 3 minutes, he will focus and see himself heal. He will imagine it and think through it. He was doing that, and it moved from 3 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes till he could do it for 24 hours. 24 hours of pure meditation, of pure imagination, looking through himself, seeing himself walk around, move around. Guess what? Within 6 months, he's been totally healed. He's been totally made whole. So he travels around the world right now, teaching people the power of imagination and meditation. That it's about mind over matter. That you can will, you can think, you can imagine anything into existence. Your imagination, you imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and you create what you will. So here are the fundamentals of imagination. Number one, there is nothing that was ever created that never passed through the nation called imagination. Nothing. From my water jug to the microphone to the remote control to my glass case to my glasses to the screen to the laptop to my shirt to my everything, my hairstyle, there is nothing that was ever created that never passed through the nation called imagination, because things are birthed from within. Everything you want to be starts with your imagination. What you're wearing started from your imagination, or it's from the imagination of someone. The house you live was, well, first of all, somebody's imagination. Everything. I mean, I have a studio in my house. That's where I broadcast from. It was something I imagined, when I was in Toronto, last year. And when I got back into the country, I told my team, we got to build a studio in here. I did not know COVID was going to happen, but I imagined it, and we started building, and we completed, and COVID started, right? And I was not stranded because I had gone ahead of time. I'll give you another example. In my days of consulting for banks and training banks, basically, now in that year, I got paid like 300,000 naira every day that I went to train way back. Now, when they were paying us, it was very juicy. I was young. I was like 27, 20, 26, 27, and that period, I sat one day and I imagined, what if of a day the bank says that what they're paying is too high and they wanted to hire people who had the potential to train. I just imagined it, and I said, well, it was time to diversify. Now, so I began to diversify into my passion, which is family life, and I began to research. I began to create content. Every morning I intellectual property. Now, exactly 8 months later, I called my guys who were training together. And I said, guys, what will happen if banks stop training? And they told me, guys, it cannot happen. Banks will always train. 2 months after the global credit crunch started and banks stopped training, a lot of my guys became stranded, right? A lot of them who had imagined another life outside of the training were able to survive. That life is always showing you the direction of what is ahead. If you can't imagine, what will change, you will be lost and you will lose out consistently from the cutting edge of things. But if you can proactively imagine what can go wrong, challenge what you are enjoying right now, and see how you can scale it to the next level or diversify, you will be ahead of competition. Number two, your imagination is life's activity of getting into a mental gym where the fitness you desire is birthed, right? That a lot of people go to the physical gym, but they never experience mental gym. Mental gym is where your life's fitness is actually birthed. A lot of people talk about wealth, they don't think wealth. When I see the way people act, I know almost immediately how they have been thinking and the imagination in their heart. When you see someone steal, you already know the imagination in his mind. He has ruled himself out of making money legitimately. I work in a sector that never existed before I started championing the sector in my country, Nigeria, right? And I remember that consistently I was told that this will not pay off. Nobody will pay you to do family life coaching or family life consulting, family life therapy. Nigerians will rather go to religious leaders. And I said to them, no, the science of this is possible. Family science is possible in Nigeria. There was no university, and there is still no university that offers any course on family science in the whole of my country. the certification program that a lot of Africans now take were the certification programs I and a couple of my colleagues created after about 11 years of intensive research. Do you understand? It never existed, but I saw it, I visualized it, and I called a couple of people to say, let us create this. Today, as a reality, people say Nigerians can't pay, but Nigerians now pay to the tune of millions to get their relationship issues sorted. That it's about your imagination. I tell people every money you want to make is available in someone's hand, but you need to first imagine that it is available and that the money can come in your direction and that you have the competence to attract that money into your life. If you can think like that, the customers will begin to show up. So your imagination is life's activity of getting into a mental gym where the fitness you desire is fitness, the financial fitness, the physical fitness, the mental fitness that you desire. Your imagination is where it is birthed. A lot of people are defeated from their imagination. They think the wrong things. They imagine the wrong things that can happen. So when someone's relationship, begins to struggle, I always ask them, was there ever a fear in your mind that your relationship will break down? 9 out of 10, they had imagined it. They had imagined their spouses cheating on them. They had imagined things going wrong. They had imagined it. It has entered their mind. They've thought about it. Eventually it happens. Then they begin to blame their spouse for what they created. As you think in your heart, so are you. As you imagine in your heart, so you become. Because what you imagine is eventually the snapshot that becomes real when you print it. So the printing is the manifestation, but there cannot be printing of the picture without taking a picture of the picture. So your imagination is a process of taking a snapshot of the future you want. If it is negative, by the time you print, it's going to be negative, right? There is you create your reality. Number 3, your imagination is never dormant. You can either shape it into a place where miracles are birthed or a place where weapons are made. What that means is you can either imagine negative or positive. There is no midpoint. So consistently, your mind is always at work. That's why you need to guard your mind with all diligence, because what you imagine takes control of your life. So you can either turn your imagination into places where miracles are birthed or places where weapons are made. That is all kinds of negativity and war. Your imagination is the magnet that attracts what you see into existence, and a prayer that depicts the desires you desire divinity to bring into reality. It is your person become. Remember, we're on the series on releasing your personal power. That a lot of people are billionaires, but they cannot just see themselves harnessing the power within them. A lot of people are inventors, but they have never gotten into the exercise of imagination. They do not see themselves standing in front of the crowd. They do not see themselves traveling around the globe. They do not see themselves earning or flying business class. They cannot see it. So even when they have the money for business class, they would think economy, right? So one day I flew and I was coming back to Nigeria, right? Yes, I think I was coming back from Nigeria on route Heathrow. So when we got to the leg from London to Lagos, right? Some guys who sat in economy, by the time we landed in Lagos and the first class and the business class passengers, were going down, and the upper economy, I began to hear them say, money has finished now. All of us are now the same. Can you imagine? They wasted money boarding a business class. See, all of us now, we are the same. They have fooled themselves because they are never the same. They have never flown business class before. If you fly it, you will know the difference, right? Now, but if you check the thoughts in their heart and the words in their mouth, you can know that they have never imagined themselves traveling at that level, right? Now, for them, that money is a waste of money, but they are not thinking of the convenience, of the comfort of sleep, having a good night's sleep, and arriving to go for a straight meeting. Meanwhile, they are going to battle with jet lag. Their back is totally messed up. So your imagination is actually the magnet. Some people are poor not because they should be poor, but they cannot just imagine themselves being rich. So even when they make money, they're going to be downgraded back to poverty. Life will create, people will swindle them because they have not seen themselves retain wealth. Your imagination is the magnet that attracts what you see into existence. Be careful what you imagine in your mind, because it's going to become your reality. Every time you imagine things, imagine if the whole world, or if God can say amen to your imagination, what kind of life will you live? Think about it for a moment. That what you are thinking in your mind, your imagination, if God says amen to your imagination, what kind of person will you become? So your imagination is a prayer that depicts the desires you desire divinity to bring into reality, right? So it's actually a prayer. Now it is your personal power to become. So why would you waste it on negativity? There is no point spending time in strife or gossip or heartbreak when a new future can be created, right? A lot of you spend so much time on past pain. There is nothing wrong with grieving. It's part of life, but you cannot grieve for 7 years when you can actually birth a new miracle. Every time a door closes, is open almost immediately. The problem is a lot of us cannot see the new open door because we're stuck in our past. So you need not spend so much time grieving about the past when you can create a new future. Oftentimes, people can't create the new future because they are worried about what people will say. So, for example, you are married and you have lost your spouse, right? And culture and tradition says you shouldn't remarry almost immediately. So, if you remarry 2 years after the demise of your late husband or your late wife, people looked at you of one kind and they say maybe you have been dating. What is their business? The contract you signed was till death do you part. So, a lot of people are stuck based on what people will say and they never move forward. You also have situations where someone gets married and divorced and cannot move on because of man-made beliefs, right? That God is upset with you. What does God have to gain by keeping you single or by keeping you perpetually bound when the the relationship is already dead? By the law court is already a divorce. You're divorced. The person has moved on, but your own happiness is kept bound by some funny beliefs and doctrines that has held people bound. There is no point spending time in strife, gossip, or heartbreak when a new future can be created. Your imagination is the true reflection of what you enjoy and desire. Now, if you don't like your state, change your imagination, right? So, if you check the origin and the etymology of the word imagination, imagination comes from the Latin verb imaginary, meaning to picture oneself. That is the root word of imagination. As you picture yourself, so you will produce. That as you snap yourself in your mind, so will be the picture that will come to your reality. If we have to frame your imagination, how beautiful will it be, right? If we frame your mind right now and we print the images in your mind, look affluent? Does it look excellent? Does it look beautiful? Does it look lovely? Or it's full of chaos and hell? So when you say your body is paining you, your mind is paining you, have you imagined yourself falling sick? Every time you hear cancer, do you imagine yourself having cancer, or do you imagine yourself having that pain? When you see people go through crisis, do you imagine yourself losing money, right? If you imagine it and you don't quickly address and change it, it will soon become your reality. So imagination comes from the Latin word imaginary, which means to picture oneself. How do you picture yourself? This root definition of the term indicates the self-reflective property of imagination. Nobody can imagine for you, unfortunately. It's an exercise you have to do by yourself. When people say they believe in you, no matter the hands they lay on you or what they say to you, if it doesn't become something you begin to imagine, if the word doesn't become live pictures in you, not so is a self-reflective property of imagination, emphasizing the imagination as a private sphere. It's a private activity. It's not public. Nobody can gym for you. Nobody can develop six packs for you, right? You cannot say, "Oh, I am fat. I want to grow slim. So come and help me gym so that I can grow slim. Come and help me diet so that I can grow slim." No, nobody can do that for you. In fact, God cannot do it for you. You got to do it by yourself. Now, the Latin word imaginary, to form a mental picture, to picture yourself, to imagine. Also in the late Latin imaginare, to form an image of, to represent. So which means imagination is your internal representation system of yourself, from imago, which means an image, a likeness, that you can imagine yourself becoming great, speaking at the highest level. Every time I got into a place, I went into a seminar, I always said to myself, someday I'm going to come back here. Let me give you an example. Many years ago, when I was working as head of media to the late Pastor Bimbo Dukoya, I followed her to a place called Ajebo. Ajebo is on your way to Ibadan. She went to speak at Foursquare. Now, because I was the one who was producing the materials, I went ahead of her because the conference was going to be 3 days, right? And people were lodged in there. By the time I got in there was no space for me to sleep. So I asked and I told them I wanted to, I'm the head of media for Pastor Bimbo Dukoya, and they said there was no space. Guess what? I slept outside. It was very cold. I had my bag beside a stream. I had my bag, I had my products, and I set up my table, but I slept outside. On my way out of that place, I said to myself, pray someday you're going to come back here as a guest speaker. I visualized it. I said, I'm coming back here not to come and sell tapes, but to come and speak. That was 2001. By 2006, I was invited back to the same place as a guest speaker at the same meeting. Now, by the time I got in there, I cried like a baby and I told them the story. That your mind, what you're picturing in your mind, what you're thinking is going to become a reality. I have pictured in my mind, sometimes imagine myself speaking at the highest level. It has come to pass consistently, right? So you cannot, if you picture yourself just remaining small for the rest of your life, carrying someone's bag, you will be correct. And that will be your reality. You are the one traveling at the pace you want to travel. You are not traveling at the pace oftentimes that God wants you to travel. You are the one limiting yourself by the smallness of your thinking, right? Imagination is the meeting point between humanity and divinity, where the new is born. And imagination is the meeting point between humanity and divinity. Is the place where you meet what God wants and what you need to deliver on planet Earth. If you don't open your mind to the divine power to pour or birth his image in you, or you create and generate the image that you want, all kinds of image will flood your mind that cannot empower you. A lot of you have malice, anger, gossip inside of you about someone else. Is a waste of space, because that will produce in your body pain, sickness, disease. You will have high blood pressure over what you have no control over. Meanwhile, you could as well create a beautiful image of you kissing someone you love, being with someone you love, traveling around the globe. It is your choice. Imagination is the meeting point between humanity and divinity, where the new is born and the old fades. Unfortunately, it's also a place where a lot of people sustain the old and they stay with the old, even when the old no longer has time for you. A lover has jilted you, but you still stay there. It's going to come back to me. No, 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 no. It's not your God. You can always create something new. Your mind can't differentiate between what is real and what is simulated, right? So why wallow in pain when you can simulate yourself into bliss? Now, your imagination, one, is the blank check to creating your image. What image do you want? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to see? What is the praise that you want to see in the next 1 year? How much do you want to be worth? What estate do you want to have owned? Right? You can think it, imagine it, see yourself walk through it. There are estates in my mind right now. Walk in, walk out, go ahead, rent it out to people, give out houses in your mind, right? It's your blank check to creating your image. Your imagination is a blank space to dream life what you truly desire. Are you aware? If you give some people a blank check right now to say, write whatever you want, they will still write small figures. If you give them a blank check, yeah, these are the people that I want to be rich, I want to be rich. Give them a blank check to say, write whatever you want. You will be shocked. They will still write 1,000 naira when they can write $1 billion. You see them, people want to be great, but you throw a small party, right? And you see them fight over meat. You go for a party and you have served buffet, but you are stealing meat or keeping meat and putting it inside your bag and wrapping it. These are symptoms of poverty. Rich people live as if there is no scarcity. But you see, people who are even perceived rich, they have come with big cars, but they attend a party in Nigeria and they are wrapping meat inside nylon to take home, right? It's a symptom of poverty. That's the way they see themselves, because they are never sure that they will have those kind of meats again. It's the same way when you put a man in a position of authority and he loots the treasury dry, right? It's a sign of poverty. When a man buys what he cannot use, right? He has bought 10 cars. He does not have the capacity to drive 10 at the same time, right? It's a symptom of poverty. Meanwhile, he can actually create free housing scheme for people. When people live life as if tomorrow is not going to come, it's a sign of poverty, and it's the way they see themselves in their mind. It's a poverty mentality. It's not a function of what you have in your bank account. It's first of all in your mind. So consistently, when I say to people, or when people say to me, I learned this very early enough in life. When people say to me, this is how much this product costs, no matter how expensive it is, you will hardly hear me say it is too expensive. What I will say is, how can I afford it? Because rich people don't say it is expensive. Wealthy people think of how they can afford it. If you say you shut your imagination down from creating possibilities. If you answer, how can I afford it? You activate your imagination to begin to scan for how you can afford it. And consistently, I have seen myself walked into meetings I have no business attending based on my bank account, but I found a way to attend simply by asking those questions. So your imagination is a blank space to dream into life what you truly desire. Your imagination is your reality. It's your reality. Your reality today is a function of your imagination. Who you are going to be tomorrow is a function of your imagination as well. Your imagination is the elastic band that determines how far you go. It's like the band, right? It's been said that the human mind, once stretched beyond limits, does not return to its original state, right? There's a way I think right now that you couldn't have given it to me. It's because I sweat my brain to challenge conventions. I do not see any truth in its final state. I believe it can be challenged, and by challenging and troubleshooting a lot of issues, I realize that there is room for improvement. So a lot of people are stuck. They remain small. I have built one house, so I am okay, right? Meanwhile, you can actually buy up the whole of Japan. Who says you cannot be another Elon Musk? Who says your skin color is a limitation? I have not in my sector. I never see myself as number two around the world. I see myself as number one. I work hard at it. I think about it. I always have something to offer. Guess what? Among the global organization, global practitioners in my sector, I have gone to international conference to deliver a speech. I was the only African there, right? This month, I'm holding a webinar for all of them on how to build a profitable family life business during COVID, right? Yet I'm in Nigeria. So it's the elastic band that determines how far you go. A lot of us, the moment you cite the people who are not of the African skin, call them white skin, because I've talked about that there is nothing called white skin. When you see people from abroad, let me put it in quote, right? People with yellow skin whatever skin it is, you become suddenly something tells you they are better than you, and you begin to act like a slave. Or when you see someone who says, I am anointed, you become almost like a dummy. You begin to run around, run helter skelter, as if you don't have the capacity to hear God by yourself. I am not saying dishonor people. Honor everyone, but don't entrust your life into anyone, because nobody can make you. The person you trust cannot imagine for you. If the person is the one imagining for you, then you will always totally be limited. Meanwhile, there's a room for actually overtaking, right? There's a room for knowing more, for opening up your mind, for going to places. In your mind is your life at the end of the day. On the judgment day, you are not going to stand with a group. You are going to stand alone to give account of the quality of life you live. Why would you want to remain small in your mind when you can actually think big? So your imagination is the elastic band that determines how far you will go. Question is, how far do you want to go? Your imagination is also the incubator where dreams are birthed. So what do you spend your time thinking about? Are you spending your time thinking about how you are going to colonize Japan? How you are going to take over Jamaica? How you're going to travel to Canada and become very big, right? And if you dream it, you think it, make sure that you find people who are vibrating at that level, because your imagination is a vibration. Your imagination is the all-purpose media studio where you can create your best-selling movie. Your best-selling movie is your best-selling life, but your imagination is a location, is a studio where you can create it. The camera is yours. What are you shooting? What script are you writing in your mind? I love, a word of motivation online that says that the world is a canvas. You are the painter. There are no rules. Get to work. I'll take that again. The world is a canvas, right? For your imagination, which means you can paint whatever you want. It says you are the painter. There are no rules. Get to work. A lot of us are bound by the rules in your mind. You are limited by the rules they are placed in your mind. No man can do this. No woman can do this. Women do not do this. Men do not do this. Africans cannot do this. You are listening to gossip. Someone defines gossip as intermeddling with information that you have no use of. What is your business? In fact, the moment people say it can't be done, that is exactly what I want to do. I hate to keep up with the Joneses and follow the crowd. I always want to be sure that my mistakes is mine. I would rather act and make a mistake and learn something new than be stuck when I'm not convinced of what you are saying to me. The world is a canvas for your imagination. You are the painter. There are no rules. Get to work. If I said the world is a blank check, the pen is in your hand. Write whatever figure you want to write. There are no limitations. What will you write? Right? So here are the questions for you this morning. Who do you see you are? Remember yesterday I asked, what do you say? What do you think you are? But today, because imagination is pictorial, is a visual in your mind, who do you see you are? That's the number one question. Pause for a moment today and imagine, who do you see you are? Number two, what do you see you have? What do you see you have? With your eyes closed, right? Looking through your mind, what do you see that you have? Are you small? Are you perpetually broke? You can afford the quality of life that you want, or you see yourself above that life. Let me shock you. In the beginning, when God was creating the heaven and the earth, now from the biblical account, a Christian, I don't know what other religious book says. It says God's spirit was hovering above the surface of the deep. What was happening there is that God raised his imagination above the limitation of the deep. There was darkness, there was chaos, but God raised his imagination above it. Whatever your imagination does not rise above, you cannot command. Because once you rise above a situation, you can command it. It means the situation is subjected to you. It's under your foot. So you can tap it and crush it and determine what happens. Whatever situation exists in your life, if you can place your imagination above it, then you can conquer it. If God's spirit had been under, It could never have commanded, let there be light and there will be light, because you don't command your superior, you command your inferior. Imagine you look at a lieutenant colonel in Nigerian army, or a major general in the army, and you are a sergeant, and you command and say, Major, come here, or Major General, come here. It's not going to listen to you because you do not have the authority to command it. So the same way, you do not have the capacity, which is why a lot of people cannot pray successfully, because what they are commanding, they do not have the capacity and the power and the authority to command it, because their spirit is still below it. Do you understand? That's why a lot of people pray, I will not be poor. I will not be poor. They are poor. Why? Because their spirit has not risen above the poverty. So God's spirit rose above it. That is imagination. That you think yourself above it, you think yourself affording it, you think yourself affording 20 of it. That is imagination. What do you see that you have? Number 3, what do you see that you can do? What do you see that you can do? A lot of people are giants in their mind, but they are dwarfs outside, right? Because they keep thinking small about what they can do. Just give me anything. When I see people say, give me any job, I cringe. When you can actually become the MD, what do you see that you deserve? That number 4. What do you see that you deserve in your mind? Do you see yourself deserving a special guest of honor seat, being invited, deserving the keynote speech, right? Being paid so much? What do you see that you deserve? Do you see yourself deserving first class compartment, business class, traveling around the world, all expense paid for, or even paying it from your pocket? What do you see you can become? What do you see you can become? So your imagination are either heaven or hell. Question is, what are you creating? The canvas is, the slate is clean. Your pen, if the pen is in your hand, or the brush and the paint is in your hand, what are you painting and what are you creating? Imagine yourself into existence. That's what this is all about. That from today you can imagine the real you, right? The world has not seen you. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. It has not entered the heart of any man what God is capable of doing through you, right? Which is why you see a phone, and by the next year, they have created an upgrade. The seed that will create the upgrade is already in the existing one. The defect that will create it is already, it's not in its final phase. But someone settles because your life is better than the mediocrity around you. You now settle, not knowing that what you call excellence is actually mediocrity elsewhere. As we all with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, we are being changed into his very likeness from one level of glory to another. That's what change there is, the word metamorphosize, which means the version of you that we see today is still the smallest version of you. Eyes have seen you now, but you need to now rise to what eyes have not seen, what ears have not heard. The people that knew me 10 years ago, they will know this is a different praise. People that knew me last week, we know this is another praise entirely. And you're going to see me next week, you are going to see another version. So what do you need to do based on all that we've shared today? Number 1, consciously create a daily time to picture the ultimate you and shoot a video of the real you. Call it your personal mental gym time, right? Your personal blank check, or you are going to write your blank or personal banking time, wherein you create a time to picture the ultimate you. All you are going to be shooting in your mind is what you can become, who you are, right? That's the image you are going to be creating in your mind. Nothing must disturb you. You shut your door, you sit still, or you lie down, and you visualize every possibility. You enjoy it, you regurgitate, you replace it, you fast forward it, rewind it, pause it, make it still, fast forward it, rewind it, play it, till it becomes a part of you, and it's almost as if you can touch it, you can feel it, your feeling has accepted it. Once you do that, it's already been transferred into you. Then you begin to watch out for it, and you are grateful for it. Trust me, it will show up in your life, because imagination is magnetizing what you want. It's the law of attraction. Number 2, take a daily walk and consciously observe the beauty of nature, taking it into your subconscious. So take a daily nature walk. I do that every morning and every evening. You take a daily nature walk, just observe the beauty of the flowers, the beauty of the trees. Don't see any negativity. People walk past, observe the beauty of their body, the beauty of their legs, the beauty of their clothes. No matter how bad it is, observe the beauty of their smile, the beauty of the birds flying, the beauty of the lilies, the beauty of the trees, the grace with which the leaves flap their wings, and the leaves and the flowers. Observe children playing. Just enjoy it. You're taking in nature work, right? That will become the seed for the goodness that can come out of you. If all you see is what is wrong, this road is bad, this country is bad, this is not looking good, that is not looking that, you are also sowing seed that will generate negative imagination. Number 3, consciously choose what you have and the platforms you manifest and the people you will flow with. Right? Consciously choose what you have and the platform and the people you flow, because you are energy. There's what we call energy vampires. Vampires are people who drain your energy. So here's the problem. A lot of Nigerians want to travel abroad. Their plan is, when I travel abroad, I'm going to become very wealthy, right? They want to become the richest. But when they travel abroad eventually, what do? They go and meet people from their country who suffered and who are still suffering. And those ones begin to tell them, so let's say your energy level, your vibration is here. Your vibration is a millionaire in dollars. But when they arrive in the US, they go to meet people who are here, who are struggling with $10 per hour job. There's nothing wrong with that too. There's nothing wrong. I'm not accusing them, but they go and meet them. So those ones are the dominant people in their life. They begin to tell them story. In this America, it's tough. You have to shuffle and do 5 jobs and blah, blah, blah. The more you create that environment around you, because what sounds alive, and you hear those things, it begins to dampen your energy level till you come to their level, and you become the next colonizer that will begin to tell new stories to the new person who is coming of how life is tough. But if when you got there, you begin to ask, who are the richest people here? You look for them, and you even become a cleaner around them. The image and the pictures they are painting, the words they are saying, because whatever is spoken to you is spirit and is life. Your words can actually literally create a life for you. By the time you stay around those people, even as a cleaner or as an office assistant, right, your vibration is at this level. You realize that it grows bigger and bigger and bigger because of the energy created around you. Your vibe must determine your tribe, which is why there are people, some of you have called friends, who should be mentees, because their thinking is not in alignment with where you want to go. They are slowing you down, but you don't know. So they are small-minded people. Pictures they are conjuring and the numbers they are calling is not where your reality is. They are going to drain your energy. We call them energy vampire. And that is why then the Pani says you must qualify people for the investment of your energy, because your energy is your life. Number 4, always wonder what can happen if you become dash. That's the default question you must ask, and watch your mind generate pictures. So, for example, what if Praise becomes a billionaire? If you answer that question or ask that question in your mind, pictures will show up. What can happen if Praise becomes very wealthy? What can happen if Praise becomes so healthy? What can happen if Praise becomes the president of Nigeria? What can happen if Praise becomes, a friend to Bill Gates? What can happen if Praise is the one counseling Bill Gates' children? What can happen if all the top rated people are coming to Praise and they are his clients, right? If you ask those questions, it generates picture automatically in your mind. That is one question you can use to unleash your imagination at the highest level. Number 5, always live in the creative plane by creating possibilities as against limitation. I've mentioned that before. No matter the price they are calling for anything, don't say it is too expensive. It is too expensive because of your level. If you ask, how can I afford it? You instruct your mind to begin to create images of possibilities that exist in your life. Trust me, you can afford anything, provided your mind can accommodate it. It's only a matter of time. If it gets into your heart, it can get into your hand. And number 6, jumpstart your imagination by questioning the norm or what already exists and how it can be better. And dream yourself to deliver the new true feelings, right? Which means dream yourself to reality until you can't dream otherwise, and get into gratitude, speaking in past tense, right? That you need to jumpstart your imagination by questioning the norm. Why can't this table be better? Why can't this studio be better? When I came into the studio, it wasn't like this, right? But we kept making it better. Why can't we achieve this? Why can't we achieve that? And we kept achieving it, and things keep changing. But even as of now, it's still not where I want it to be. So jumpstart your imagination by questioning the norm and what already exists. Why can't we make it better? How can I make it better? Automatically, pictures begin to develop in your mind, right? So ask that question and dream yourself to deliver the new through your feelings, right? That when you are dreaming and you are imagining things, let it affect your feeling. Get your feelings involved. That your feelings literally have, the aha moment, and it has goose pimples of this thing has happened. Wow, I have what I desire right now. I'm in that school right now. I have paid my school fees. I am graduating. I am so great. Make your closing remark, right? Make your graduation speech. I do that all the time. I stand and I say, I'm so grateful that I've been able to make what I'm looking for. I'm so grateful that I'm standing here to speak to the United Nations General Assembly. I thank you for your invitation all over the world. The President of the world, President Donald Trump, thank you so much. His Excellency, the President. I begin to address all of them. Trust me, it's going to become your reality. You will look like a madman, right, to other people who don't understand this secret. But this is the secret that governs the universe. Dream yourself to reality until you can't dream otherwise. That your dream becomes your reality. It's as if it has happened. At that point, power has changed and ownership has been transferred. The C of O has been delivered. You don't have to see the land wherever it is. The C of O, once it's transferred to your name, it has become a done deal, right? And at that point, get into gratitude. I am grateful that I now fly business class. I am grateful I can afford the great things of life. I am grateful that 1,000 children are going to school on my account. I am grateful that 5,000 widows are getting help because of me. I am grateful that I'm giving loans to Benin Republic. I am grateful that Togo is depending on me for the educational system, because that has been your dream and it's going to become your reality. Now, Stephen Covey says, and I will end with this quote: live out your imagination, not your history. Live out your imagination, not your history, especially when your history is not pleasant, when your history is not inspiring. Don't live out your history. Live out your imagination. Live out possibilities. Leave behind you the guy that jilted you. See another guy walking into your life. See yourself, having lovey-dovey, amazing relationship with a new lover. It doesn't have to be a Nigerian. It doesn't have to be, an African. It can be a Japanese. It can be an American. It can be anyone at all. Dream it, see it, visualize it. Live out your imagination, not your history. Your history is behind you. Don't let it find expression into your future, except your history is inspiring. Even when your history is inspiring, you need to let go of what is behind you and aspire to what is greater, right? So you make $1 million, that is in your history. Why can't you do $1 billion, right? So live out your imagination, not your history. So what would your imagination look like? Who do you see you are? What do you see that you can do? What do you see that you can afford? What do you see that you have, right? And who do you see that you move with? Can you visualize right now? Get into your closet, begin to see things, and you will see that your life turns around. Can you close your eyes with me for a moment? I want you to visualize and imagine the greatest version of you. What's the greatest version of you that you can become this morning? Best version of you. What are you wearing? Where are you exactly? And who are you talking to? What is your net worth? And what country are you manifesting? Who is calling you on phone and who are you speaking to on phone? Who are you negotiating with? What business meetings are you going for, and what are you wearing? What is the quality of life that your family is living? What can you afford? Who are you touching with your wealth and with your prosperity? Who is the beneficiary of magnificence? What gifts are you giving, and who are you giving the gifts to? What are people saying about you? Who are the people praying for you, and in what countries are they praying for you because you are touching them every day? How are you impacting humanity? I want you to rewind all the images you have seen right now, or you have created, and play it again slowly, as if in slow motion. See every moment. Fast forward it. Rewind it slowly and see it coming to pass. Get your feelings involved. You will begin to feel ghost pimples right now. Play it slowly once again. The magnificent you, the greatest version of you. See your energy level. What airline are you flying, or is it a private jet? Who is calling you as you're about to board? What meeting are you going for? How excited are you about that life? What speech are you delivering, and where are you delivering the speech? Get into gratitude now based on what you are seeing. Saying, this is my life. This is my reality. So shall it be. I walk towards it and I bring it to reality. I print this picture and it becomes the new me. Internalize it once again. Enlarge that image. Let it become so big on the large screen that you can't miss it. It is so real and it's going to happen. Live out your imagination from now, not your history. According to Steve Covey, live out that imagination. That is the ultimate you. Every time your environment begins to stifle you, begins to beat you black and blue, every time the reality of your environment, whether you're in Nigeria, dawns on you, or your past state, because that's no longer your state, the poverty, the limitation, play this image, because this is the real you. So whenever you're down, play this image. This is the real you. This is the real you. Walk towards it. Walk in that direction. Say to yourself, I am a temporary resident here. I long for a city. This city is clear in my mind. I'm a tenant here. This is not my permanent residence. It's just a bus stop. I'm just passing. Or I know where I'm moving to. Let that image be clear. If possible, after this session, try to draw it. Try to paint it. Right? Make it your vision board. Paint it so well that you can see it. If there are images that can represent it, cut out and make them a representative image of what you want to see. See it first thing in the morning. Spend 15 minutes visualizing it, playing the video, and before you sleep, play it again. You would realize that you will no longer be comfortable where you are. Whatever you can permit, you will not change. But whatever you're tired of, you will change it. Remember, you can't travel within and stand still without. Another way to release your personal power is the power of your imagination, which is the image of the nation that you alone can create. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I celebrate you and I say thank you very much. Have a fantastic day and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.